Before we get started, please help us grow to 63,000 subscribers and also give us a like as well. Thank you and enjoy. Title: The Disappearing Town. In a remote part of the American Midwest, there was a small town that had always been shrouded in mystery. People passing through often reported strange occurrences, but few ever stayed long enough to investigate further. One Reddit user, who we'll call John, decided to spend a week in the town to see what was really going on. Upon arriving, John immediately noticed something odd. The town had an eerie silence, and the few people he encountered seemed strangely distant, as if they were hiding something. Undeterred, John checked into a small motel and began exploring. As the days passed, he uncovered bizarre secrets. The town had no children, no pets, and no mirrors. He discovered that the townsfolk never spoke of their pasts, and whenever he tried to bring up the topic, they would change the subject or simply walk away. The entire town was devoid of modern technology. No cell phones, no internet, nothing. One night, as John was exploring an abandoned building on the outskirts of town, he stumbled upon a hidden cellar. Inside, he found journals dating back centuries, each detailing the strange occurrences that had plagued the town. Stories of people vanishing without a trace, sightings of shadowy figures in the woods, and inexplicable phenomena filled the pages. As he read further, John began to hear whispers and footsteps behind him. Panicked, he rushed out of the cellar, but when he emerged into the moonlight, he realized something even more horrifying. The entire town had vanished. The motel, the houses, the streets, all gone. He was standing alone in an empty field. John managed to find his way back to civilization, but he was forever haunted by the memory of the disappearing town. To this day, he can't be sure if what he experienced was real or if he stumbled into a pocket of another dimension. But one thing is certain: he'll never forget the eerie silence and the secrets that town held. This chilling Reddit story has left many readers wondering about the mysteries hidden in the corners of the world. Story 2: The Smiling Man. A few years ago, I lived alone in a quiet neighborhood. It was the kind of place where everyone knew each other, and nothing particularly exciting ever happened. One night, however, my peaceful world was shattered by a chilling encounter that would stay with me forever. It was a cool moonless night when I decided to go for a late-night walk. I had a lot on my mind, and the soothing silence of the neighborhood often helped me clear my thoughts. As I strolled down a dimly lit street, I felt an eerie sense of isolation. Not a soul was in sight, and the streetlights cast long, ominous shadows. That's when I saw him. A tall figure emerged from the darkness up ahead, slowly making his way toward me. He was dressed in an old tattered suit that looked like it had seen better days, but what sent shivers down my spine was his posture. His head was tilted unnaturally to one side, as if it were hanging by a thread, and his movements were jerky and erratic. What chilled me to the bone, though, was his expression. The man had a wide, unnerving grin that seemed to stretch from ear to ear. His eyes were wide open, fixated on me, but devoid of any emotion. He was dancing, almost skipping, down the street, his feet making strange, disjointed movements on the pavement. Fear gripped me, and I felt an instinctive urge to turn and run, but I was frozen in place, unable to tear my gaze away from this sinister spectacle. As he drew closer, his manic dance became more pronounced, and his grin wider. The moonlight illuminated his face, revealing a pale, almost ghostly complexion. Feeling an overwhelming sense of dread, I finally managed to break free from my paralysis and cross to the other side of the street, desperate to distance myself from this nightmarish figure. But to my horror, he matched my pace, still grinning and dancing, as if he were mirroring my every move. I quickened my step, heart pounding in my chest, and so did he. It was as if he were deliberately tormenting me, playing a sinister game. Panic surged through me, and I knew I had to get home. I broke into a sprint, my footsteps echoing loudly in the empty street. When I reached my front door, I fumbled with my keys, struggling to unlock it in my frantic state. Finally, the door swung open, and I slammed it shut behind me, panting heavily. I peered out the window, half expecting to see the grinning man still there, but there was no sign of him. For what felt like an eternity, I stood there, trembling, trying to make sense of what had just happened. Eventually, I convinced myself that it must have been a bizarre and unsettling encounter with a deranged stranger. I never saw him again, but the memory of that eerie night still haunts me to this day. I hope this extended version of the Smiling Man Reddit story gave you an even deeper sense of unease. If you'd like more stories, subscribe and like, or have any other requests, please feel free to comment.